Hello, happy day.
Hi.
It's so good to see your smiling face.
Yes. It's like I love we do a lot of social media, commenting, but it's nice to actually talk to you, right? Talk to somebody.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's different. So,
Yes.
yeah, for sure. Well, I want you to introduce yourself. Let's go ahead and dive right in.
Okay. My name is Becca Kyle, and I am a boy mom of three. My youngest is a toddler, so we're still in toddler land. We can't give the wrong color of cup or we have meltdowns.
Yes,
Those
I love
situations are in full progress at my house. Um, I am an eccas survivor. So, if you don't know what that is, it's a life-threatening pregnancy condition. I had it with my last, and I am also a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. So it's a lot of words. So you can kind of just call me a functional health coach. I help stressed out and exhausted mamas who feel like they have tried everything finally uncover the root of their hormone, gut, and weight issues so they can be happy in their bodies and present for their families. Again, that's really one of the biggest underlying themes of all my clients is they're like, I'm not present for my kids. I'm not present for my husband. I feel like I'm just having to like lay down the whole weekend because I'm so tired all the time. Like being present for those you love is just such a huge theme I come across. And so I work with women with the occasional husband and child thrown in across the country. I'm 100% virtual. So it's just so much fun to get to work with people from a little bit of everywhere. And I love what I get to do.
Yay. Well, I know you touched on it a little bit, and I think that it's so fascinating. I want to hear your story because I feel like this will really like give people goosebumps and resonate. Would you share with us?
Yeah, sure. So I started in my 20s. I had a lot of negative coping mechanisms. I ate junk crap food. I drank too much. I led a very fast-paced lifestyle, not a lot of rest. I've always been very driven. So it's like go, 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 burn the candle both ends. I was on birth control for about 10 years to regulate my cycle, which threw all of my nutrient levels off. And then by the time I wanted to start having babies, my body was like, too bad, so sad. It just wasn't ready. And so I had multiple chemical pregnancies also within the baby making years, 1 8-week miscarriage. I could get pregnant. I just couldn't stay pregnant very easily. Had 3 traumatic births, emergency C-sections. The last one ended in a hysterectomy as a life-saving procedure, and so lots of trauma. And I didn't deal with my stress. I just kind of pretended it didn't happen and buried myself in my kids or my work or whatever. And my health just spiraled out of control. I was dealt with chronic pain. At one point, I hurt so bad it was really difficult for me to climb up to the top bunk to tuck in my oldest kid. Exhaustion, just exhaustion, depression, anxiety, significant gut issues. I mean, IBS, bloating, um, um, just overwhelm all the time. I was just surviving each day. And then at one point I was like, you know what? I'm done. I reached out to a friend of mine who's also a functional health practitioner, and she changed my life. And I fell in love with functional health because I'd gone to doctor after doctor. I went to my OB, I went to a neurologist, I went to all the people, and they either didn't believe me, they thought I was crazy, or like making it up, or couldn't or wouldn't help me for whatever reason, or my blood work came back normal. I'm like, but you don't understand. I feel horrible. And that's something I see with pretty much every one of my clients too. They're like, I went to this person and that person, nobody can help me. And so the difference in functional labs and the functional kind of holistic way of looking at your health is we're not trying to band-aid symptoms. We're looking at root cause. What's going on in your gut? what's going on with inflammation, what's going on with toxic burden, what's driving your symptoms, because symptoms are just a way that our body talks to us, right? And so if all you're doing is band-aiding the symptoms so you feel better short term, that root cause is just sitting over simmering and getting worse and worse and worse. And so, we're looking at, do you have bacterial overgrowth in your gut? Do you have a parasite? Are you actually absorbing what you eat? Because it's not just you are what you eat, but you are what you absorb. If you're not absorbing your nutrients, if you're not absorbing your protein, if you're not absorbing your fat, your dietary fat, a low fat diet, whether it's because you're not eating it or because you're not absorbing it, equals a low hormone diet. Cholesterol is the precursor for all of your hormones, your adrenal hormones, your sex hormones. So something as simple as malabsorption can like completely cascade into hormone imbalance, blood sugar dysregulation. It's all connected. There's no one symptom over here on an island by itself. Every single thing in your body is connected. And in my opinion, it all is centered on the gut. So I fell in love with functional health, and I've always been interested in health and wellness. I didn't do a great job of taking care of myself for a long time. And then I kind of just woke up out of this fog and was like, I'm ready to make some serious changes. I did that. I found a lot of answers, and I went back to school because it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. But I did. And
I'm still figuring that out sometimes.
Yeah, I think we all, it's, the whole idea of one career your whole life, I don't think really exists anymore. And now I just get to help mostly women, but like I said, the occasional father, husband, or child kind of mixed into the lot. And I am so blessed to get to make a living doing something I love. Not everyone gets to do that. And I love analyzing lab work and connecting dots. That's my specialty, connecting those health dots that, you might not otherwise get, something like as simple as, say, low lithium on a hair tissue mineral analysis can indicate that your body you could be like have B12 deficiency, not because your B12 is low, but you need lithium to transfer B12 into cells. So sometimes it's something really small like that, like you just are deficient in a mineral, right? Or if your potassium's low, for example, you're going to have a really hard time getting thyroid hormone into cells. And sometimes it's bigger, like a parasite or, stress driving estrogen dominance, or there's just, it's just fun. It's just so much fun. So I use those functional labs to create health rebuilding blueprints for people. Test, don't guess, because most of my clients come to me. I came to my friend, the functional nutrition practitioner, tired of treating myself like a giant science experiment. I was just like, I want the answers. I want the data. I've tried this and I've tried that and I've tried that, and nothing consistently works long term. And that's the beauty about data. I love data. Correlating that data to my clients' symptoms. And so, and the other side of it is, if you've experienced, probably I have too, the anxiety, the weight not coming off, the gut dysfunction, severe hormone imbalance, chronic pain. One of the things that was driving my chronic pain, my doctor wanted me to get tested for lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. I had a nightshade sensitivity. So like tomatoes and peppers were driving my pain. I had a 3-month migraine, literally 3 months, did not go away. I tried like 5 different medications from a doctor. I had an MRI. I had all these things. And it turned out I had histamine intolerance, which can drive anxiety, fatigue, insomnia, gut dysfunction, and migraines. And my histamine intolerance was driven by stress. It's my specialty is those interior stressors, like the gut bugs and the hormone imbalance, all that stuff. If we don't address those exterior stressors, you're never going to get the health that you want. And so I know what it's like to be on one side of it, of a health, the really spiraled down to a black hole. And I also know what it's like to be on the top of that mountain. It's my goal to foster encouragement, education, empowerment. I want to empower women to understand what's going on with their health. I've had clients cry during a session because they're like, I finally got some answers after being told I was crazy or whatever. I finally understand what's going on in my body. And that's so empowering to not only know what's going on, but to know what to do about it. And I experienced that with my own health. And that's what just inspired me to be able to do this for a living. And it's just so much fun too. I'm a total science nerd. So I get to nerd out every day and I love it.
That is awesome. Well, I know that there are some moms who are going, okay, she's talking about stress. Like, how does that happen? What can I do about it? Are there like I know the answer to this. Like, what foods will help me? Like with when I'm stressed out, what foods should I avoid? Or,
Mhm.
things like that. Like, give us a little bit more of that.
So, I would say about 80% of the reason people go to a doctor is a stress related illness. Um, Self-care is kind of this big buzzword right now. And when I say self-care, I'm not talking about a day at the spa, although that sounds lovely. I mean, come on. I'm talking about what do you do on a daily basis to truly care for yourself. So that is eating well. So it's an anti-inflammatory diet, which looks different for different people. What drives my inflammation might not drive yours. What drives yours might not drive mine. There are general foods that are typically thought of the most inflammatory. So that's sugar, that's gluten, that's dairy, that's soy, corn. I do use a food sensitivity test with my clients because we all want to know exactly what that is. But in general, you can do an elimination diet or just reduce some of those foods, because when they're driving in those inflammatory processes in the body, that's a huge stressor on the body. So when we talk about stress, we're talking about internal. So that's those food sensitivities, gut bugs, things like that. There's external, which could be a physiological stressor, like you get in a car accident and break something, right? Then there's emotional and mental stressors like COVID, a relationship, a job that's like super stressful, or even perceived stress. I think this thing might happen, but it hasn't happened yet. And I'm not sure it's going to happen, but it's stressing me out thinking that it might happen. Your body responds the same way. This is called the HPA axis, hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And so that initiates your stress response. It can send you into fight or flight, where you're just like tired but wired. And it initiates that sympathetic nervous system response. So it doesn't matter what type of stress it is, your body is still responding with cortisol. So let's say something happens in the afternoon that's really, really stressful. Your body releases cortisol to help respond to that stress. That stays in your system for a good while, then you don't sleep that night. And high cortisol will keep weight on your body. It's going to be really hard if you're under a lot of stress to lose weight, if that's a goal of yours. It decreases your immune system. So high stress and worry and fear and anger is one of the biggest ways to get sick. I know a lot of people right now are really stressing and worried about COVID and all these things. I tell them one of the best ways to protect yourself is to stop worrying so much, because all that's doing is reducing the ability of your immune system to fight stuff off, which is easier said than done. I know. But so, there's a lot of things that you can do. So eat well. So that looks like an anti-inflammatory diet. Experiment with it, or get a food sensitivity test, or do an elimination diet, something like Whole30 for 30 days, and see what foods are driving that inflammatory response. So that can look like headaches, that can look like joint pain, that can look like fatigue, typical gut symptoms, bloating, constipation, IBS. Food shouldn't make you anxious. Food shouldn't crash your energy. Food shouldn't make you like hungry 30 minutes after you eat. So if you're having any of those reactions, that food's probably not a great food for you. And it could be something like avocados, right? Which is typically a good food, right? But if you're someone like me that has histamine issues, avocados don't work for me. Avocados create a negative response for me. So, like I said, there's no such thing as one size fits all diet. You may just have to experiment. So move your body well. Not moving your body is just as bad as smoking for you. And the trick is to find something that you love to do. That could be gardening, that could be walking, that could be hiking, that could be chasing your kid around the yard or the playground. That could be a sport, that could be lifting weights. I don't care what that is, dancing, dance party with the kids in the living room, right? It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be something hardcore or super specific, group exercise class, right? It doesn't have to be that. Find a way to move your body. So that's eat well, move well, rest and play are not luxuries. They're not. Play is just as important as rest. So, if you're super stressed out, if you're overwhelmed and you stop doing all those things you used to do that would delight you and bring you joy, start doing them.
Yes.
Put them in your calendar.
Yes. I just did a video on that.
In your calendar, because doing those things that delight you, that relax you, that bring you joy is going to break yourself out of that stress tunnel vision when all you can see is your stress, right? So eat well, move well, rest and play well, and make the time for self-care. If you don't make the time for it, I don't know a single woman out there that is sitting around putting her feet up, waiting to, just fit in some self-care into her day. Like, no, if you don't put it in your calendar, it's not going to happen. And my friend Lindley Gentile, who's a women's coach, says, like your to-do list is not meant to be drained down to zero. She said, it's constantly evolving. It's constantly, you're adding to it. You're taking things away from it. Your self-care is meant to be interwoven with your to-do list. That could be something as simple as going outside in the sunshine, taking your shoes off, putting your feet on the earth and grounding, getting the energy of the earth, getting that sunshine, recharging your batteries, right? It doesn't have to be this hour-long coffee date with your friend, which is great. But a lot of times people are like, I don't have time for self-care. You've got 10 minutes, 3 times a day to do something restful or playful for yourself. And if you don't, then that tells me you're over functioning and you're people around you, you're doing all the things for, and when you do that, you're then letting them underfunction. Let them handle their stuff, and take some time for yourself. So stress, yeah, you've gotta, it's just, if you don't deal with your stress, you're never going to get the health that you want. You just won't. We can do all the things. We can run all the right labs. We can take all the right supplements. We can eat all the right things. And if you don't take care of your stress, you're going to just stay in this black hole of health, or you're going to plateau. You're just not going to get up to that next level.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's like I've gave the analogy to my clients. It's like the pitcher analogy, which I think there's also a book for kids. It's called Fill Your Bucket. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, if mommy is this pitcher and then here's the kids, like, okay, well, if I don't have anything in my pitcher, then I can't give anything to you. Like,
I'm so glad that you said that. So we do tend to use that pitcher, or that pitcher. I have to pour out of my pitcher to right. But what I learned from Lindley is that you're not a pitcher, you're a bowl. And self-care is simply placing things in your bowl and you serve others from the overflow. We can't serve when we're empty, but when we're so full of all the things that we're doing to take care of ourselves, to make sure we get in bed on time, to fuel our bodies appropriately, to rest and play, to move our bodies well, to stay hydrated, that's self-care. Again, we'd all love that day in the spa, but when you really break it down to how are you supporting your body mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, to create your best health, that's self-care. That's it, in my opinion. That's what self-care is. It's like, and sometimes for me, self-care is, it's going to really stress me out if I don't do this load of laundry right now, because I know my kid's going to need this for tomorrow and I'm not going to remember to put it in the morning. So sometimes literally self-care is doing a load of laundry, because it's going to be more stressful and create more stress if you don't do it, so it's going to look different on a daily basis, and it's going to look different for everybody. but it's a running theme with my clients is I had, like I was telling you earlier, I had one client cry on the phone to me because this morning during a call, because she's just so overwhelmed and so stressed out, and she's got some things happening in her life that are out of her control. So we talk about the things that we can control. You can control what you put in your mouth. You can control eating on a regular basis so your blood sugar doesn't drop. You can control doing those 10-minute bouts of self-care throughout the day. You can take your supplements. It's sometimes everything can be like really overwhelming, but when you really think about it and bring it back down to what you can do on a daily basis, there's so much we can do. And sometimes when we're overwhelmed and we're stressed out, we check out. We just check out of all the things. We stop taking care of ourselves because it's the easiest thing to do at the time, but it doesn't do us any favors.
Yeah. And I like to tell people that list, you need to create a self-care list. So when you're in that overwhelmed part, you go, okay, look, here's all my options. I can choose from one of these. And it's so much easier.
Well, it's just like when someone says, like 5 minutes ago, I could have thought of all these restaurants I want to go to. And as soon as someone says, hey, where do you want to go eat? I'm like, I don't know. When you're in it, it can be hard to think about it. I do the same thing, call it a self-care buffet. I have them create low energy, medium energy, and high energy tasks for self-care. So some days you're going to need a low energy task. Some days you're like, oh, I need a high energy task. And like you said, like having it right there in front of you, you don't have to think, because sometimes thinking about what you're going to do for self-care creates stress. It's like, that's not the point, right? So having that in front of you on your bathroom mirror, your fridge.
Idea. That's great. Yeah.
So it's so important. And mamas, most of my clients are moms with smallish, maybe, children. I mean, not like necessarily toddlers, but under the age of 18, for example. And we spend so much time taking care of our families. And I have a colleague who had to go through a pretty major surgery, and she was so worried about her kids, eating and transportation, just all the things. And her kids are a little bit older than mine. I said, you have raised your people right. They are so capable of being able to care for themselves while you are recovering, and you're stressing out about something that's not even a reality, because I know you, and I know what a great mom you are, and what you've given this gift of your kids to, knowledge and of abilities. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're so right. They are capable. I'm like, I know. But as moms, we get that mom guilt. It's like, but if I can't do all these things, the world's going to fall apart. I'm like, no, it's not. Give them a chance to like walk into their power and function on a level that they're 100% capable of, so.
Absolutely. Well, I feel like I have completely resonated with everything you said today. And I know that other people feel the same way. And I want them to be able to connect with you. So if they're on social or your website or wherever, give us all the things.
Okay. So my website is, my company is Holistic Obsession. And it was funny because back in the day when I was starting my business, I was like, I just struggled with a business name, struggled. And I just love the word holistic just because it embodies, what I do. And then one day I was like thinking about this lab work and this person, and man, I am just obsessed. I'm like, oh, that's it. So, and I am like, I don't give up. I mean, I like dive deep until we figure things out. So my brand is Holistic Obsession. So my website's holisticobsession.com. From there, on the website under services, you can book a free initial consult with me, where I can dive into, what you've got going on, your health history, your health goals, and how I might be able to help. It's super low pressure, or no pressure, really. I am on Facebook. You can find my business page, Holistic Obsession. I have a free holistic health group. It's called Holistic Obsession Gut Health 101. Videos, posts, all sorts of things. I want to empower and educate the masses. So you can join that. Instagram, my Holistic Obsession, because someone already took Holistic Obsession who doesn't even use it, but that's okay. I'm not on Instagram as much as I would like to be, because I'm kind of low tech. But reach out via email, myholisticobsession@gmail.com. So just find me. Let's chat. Would love to just talk you through anything you need. And that Facebook group's a lot of fun too. So, all the things.
Yeah, I love it. All the things. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat today. Have a great day.
Yeah, it was so much fun. You too. Take care.
Yeah, it was. Thanks.
Bye.